everybody, and we are back. We are NBL Overtime, and wherever you might be right around the nation, and what has been a very disrupted, disjointed start to NBL 22, there is no better time than right now. Games every single night, action aplenty, and this man to my right is back. Homicide, Corey Williams in the house. Hello, buddy.
Good to see you.
You missed me?
I did.
Oh, yeah,
Glad you're here.
You reached out last week and made sure it was okay. I appreciate that. The show was brilliant because this man was in total control, the best broadcaster in the game. Power rankings not far away. Studs and duds, that's plural. He tried to slip a solo in a couple of weeks ago. It is Liam Santamaria. Hello, buddy.
Hello, mate. Look, he might have reached out to you on social media. He reached out to me in person and completely it didn't work out. So nice to have you back.
No, so you see, we'll teach him. That's how you do it, man. You just clench the fist and you just bump. It ain't that hard.
Okay.
You do a lot of things well. That is not one of them. But hey, wherever you might be, you can get involved. Hashtag NBL Overtime. And let's start with Illawarra because they're a team that many expected and still expect to have a really good year. But they hit a little speed hump. Brian Goorj called them out. They had to respond last night, Liam, and respond they did fairly easily, defeating the 36ers.
Well, the master coach really put the word on him. Didn't he put the heat on his squad, said, we might be the worst defensive team in the league right now, which was a big statement. And the good thing for them is they came up against the team who probably is actually the worst defensive team in the league in Adelaide. And they churned things up in front of their home fans. Harry Froling caught fire. Sam Froling also had a big night. And they put the hurt on the Adelaide 36ers. Bit of a concern, though. Dwop Reith went down, didn't come back. Interested to see how that plays out and what we hear from that camp. But it was a fun night in the Gong last night as they got back in the winner's circle.
I like in sport when someone who is universally loved and is probably the best coach in the league says something that is factually incorrect, but everyone buys into it. Like they have had their defensive struggles. That I'm not arguing with, but they were never the worst defensive team in the league on the side. No, I think they proved it last night. But we're like, well, Goorj said it, so it must be true.
Yeah, I mean, he was just disgusted with their performance. So he was just basically talking about those two and calling his team out, as he should. If this team is projected to do better than what they did this season, last season, they got to be better against the elite teams on their home court. Yes, Melbourne United is stacked. Yes, Perth came in and played a great game in the second half collectively, right? But one man destroyed them in that second quarter, specifically against Perth Wildcats, which was Vic Law. We'll get into that shortly. But he's right. We only judge you against the elite teams. The teams you're supposed to beat, no big deal. You can come out and play half-ass defense and still win because they're below you. But the teams that are the elite teams in this league, you got to be on point. Your game got to be right at both ends, especially defensively. And they weren't. So he was right, but good bounce-back win.
Hey, you mentioned it. You alluded to it. I want to give a shout-out to Harry Froling. And he's a man that not just us, but a lot of people have spoken about because we continue to assume that at some point he's going to go and do stuff like that. And we're waiting year in, year out. And he's probably let himself down at different times. And he's been fairly vocal about that. It was a great article late last week that came out and the different approaches he's taking into it. And he said last night, probably the most I've ever enjoyed playing basketball right now. It helps when you hit 8 threes, I know. But he has been really good this year. And last night was just a perfect example of that.
He got delivered some home truths over the off-season. No doubt about it, from people around him, his inner circle, but also from some others, coaches and teams that he was talking to. Certainly Brian Goorj as well. This is a guy bounced around teams in college, turned pro, bounced around a couple of NBL teams, and geez, if you don't turn things around, soon you'll be bounced out of the league. Yeah. That was the reality for Harry Froling. So he knows that, and I like the fact that he's fully bought into what he needs to do to turn all of that around under the leadership and the guidance of Brian Goorj, starting to play the right way, carry himself the right way. Don't lose your love of the game and your fun personality, but doing all the right things. And last night was a nice little payoff in that regard. All
right, you alluded to it. The Wildcats went into Illawarra a couple of days earlier, and the first quarter of that game was ugly. And I thought, here we go. Vic Law hadn't even had a shot. Who was either you boys on commentary? I think you were, Liam, weren't you? And you were talking about the fact that Vic Law hadn't had a shot, and then he goes bang, bang in 15 seconds, and the whole game changes.
No, I wasn't doing this game, but yeah, he just sort of turned things around in that second quarter, didn't he? And I like it. Scott Morrison after the game was asked about it, and he said, look, it wasn't like he wasn't involved in the first quarter. He was just he was deferring a little. They were throwing extra bodies at him. He was passing it out. Guys weren't knocking down shots. So he came out in the second quarter and said, you know what, I'm going to get him up. So he stepped out, faced up a little bit. He and Bryce both got going. You know who else got going? Todd Blanchfield. So important for this team. 20 points off the bench. They need Blanchfield going. They recruited over him in some respects with the signing of Michael Frazier after a big, really good year last year. And he's still trying to find his spot. But they need to not lose sight of how important it is to run actions for Todd Blanchfield and get him going.
I'll try again. Did you do this game, Homicide?
Yeah, I did this
One
game.
of you did this game. Good. Tell me what you thought of it.
You know, my biggest thing with Perth Wildcats, they had 5 home games first. They went 4-1. They beat teams that they were supposed to beat. And I said on this show, I'm not impressed with that. Go to Illawarra and win in Illawarra. And they did that. This was a very good, impressive team win, especially how they show up in the second half. They showed up collectively. It was bad in the first quarter. I was like, here we go again. They get poor starts. They had a poor start. They was down damn near 20 in the first quarter against Cairns a couple weeks ago. Bryce Cotton had to have that 20-point quarter to pretty much level the game, and then they went on to win it from there. And the game before that, they was down in Adelaide. They got obliterated, damn near 30 points. So it's been poor starts for this team. However, there were individual performances that kept that team, that steadied the ship in the past couple of games, right? Against, like I said, Bryce Cotton in the first quarter against Cairns. But this game in the second half, collectively, they came alive. And they're a dangerous team when playing like that. That was their first team game that they played well all across the board in that second half. That was an impressive second half by that team. But Vic Law in that second quarter said, you know what, enough of this. Give me the ball. I'm going to do my thing. He had a donut in the first quarter and no field goal attempts in 6 minutes. So for him to come out the way he did in the second half, another great individual performance to help steady that ship. And in the second half, that team came alive collectively. They looked very, very good.
But that is why they're so dangerous. Because you mentioned Bryce Cotton, they've also got Vic Law who can do exactly that. And it was ugly. And there's a multitude of reasons in today's day and age why teams start slow. We know they're on the road. We know there's been COVID. We understand all of that. So you've got to be able to sometimes lean on an individual to take the game over. They've got 2. They've got Bryce Cotton who can do it, and they've got Vic Law who can do it, and it allows them to stay in games until they find their groove as a unit. And Todd Blanchfield, who last year, we spoke so much about it, he filled and was even better than Tariko White was for that role last year. And if he gets going, we know the tough start he's had to the year. Have you turned around on him now?
Of course not. Melbourne United you got to go get. You got to go to Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Let's see if you can do that again in a couple nights because you got to play them again.
You do.
You know what I mean?
Things are really they're about to get really real for the Wildcats. Because that was a really impressive win on the road against a really good team in their gym after getting some really hard, bad news about their border situation and the ability to get home and back to their families. That's not changing anytime soon. We talk about New Zealand. I mean, Cam, you just sort of pushed it aside a little bit there. We know that they're stuck away from home, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing. We know how hard it is to win on the road. They're going to be away from home for a really long time now. In fact, who knows where the light at the end of that tunnel is. So they are about to get really tested. They've got to play Illawarra again in Illawarra next game. Let's see if they can keep it rolling.
I'm not going to say they can win the championship because of all that situation. It will not stop them making the top 4.
No.
Their structure, and I lean on the Melbourne Storm in the NRL, who have been on the road for the last 2 years. When you have a franchise or a club and a structure both on and off the court, like the Wildcats do, it breeds success. It may stop them from winning a championship due to home court advantage. I'm not saying it won't or it will. I'm simply saying they'll make the top 4, even if they've got to do everything on the road, which sucks to all you Wildcats players and staff.
Well, the front office, Troy Georgia, the CEO, everyone with Danny Mills, the ownership group, their conversations with the WA government right now, Mark McGowan, that's where it's all playing out. If they can, and them along with the Perth Glory and these other teams from WA, if they can organise a way to be able to come back, stay in a bubble, bring teams over, play some games, that could change things. But right now, they're in a tough spot.
What do you make of Brisbane-Sydney? This situation, Friday night, Kings got the double-digit lead, let it slip late, no Xavier Cooks after he was ejected. Sunday, the Kings were brilliant, although Kings fans were on the edge of their seats. the trepidation even into the last 3 or 4 minutes with that big lead. But what do you make of it, Homicide? What do you make of this? What do you take out of these 2 games?
Xavier Cooks is the real deal. He's the heart and soul of that team, period. Without him, look how they looked. With him, look how they looked.
Yeah.
Great. That's the guy on their team.
Yeah.
Jarrell Martin, really good player. He really, really is. But he doesn't make that engine go. The point guard just came back. He's a good player. Hasn't had enough games under his belt. Xavier Cooks is the guy.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Jarrell Martin's having a really good year. But this team wants to rebound and run, have some fun. Well, you got to get stops to be able to do that. Xavier Cook's the Defensive Player of the Year candidate. His length and his activity defensively, his ability to get deflections and steals, block shots, shut key guys down, like he did to Duop Reith, like he was doing to Robert Franks. Throw him out of the game, Brisbane run rampant. Keep him in the game here in the Harbour City. Whoo! Then you've got 13 and 12 with 5 block shots and a massive victory. He is an all-NBL first-team type of guy. They can get some more wins on the board. He enters that MVP conversation. He's the real deal. And when you've got Jalen Adams, Xavier Cooks, and Jarrell Martin all out there, now you've got a team that can do some things.
What are you hearing about an import? Jay Hunter, of course, out. Are you hearing much?
Well, I mentioned last week that, a name of someone that I know that they'd spoken to, had a look at. Now, nothing seems to have been locked away just yet. As I said, I wasn't sure whether they were going to be able to finish that job. But whether they stay with that plan of a guy like that who's a secondary ball carrier, a guy who can shoot, or they decide to go big, will be fascinating to see. But I thought they'd move really swiftly and lock someone in. We wait and see.
What do you take out of Brisbane? Like, without Xavier Cooks, they probably lose Friday night. They go zip and 2. We've spoken at times about their inconsistency. When they're flying, they're great. But Sunday they were disappointing and they really got belted from the opening tip. What do you make of Brisbane on that?
It's just a frustrating team. They really are. And that's why sometimes there's 2 teams I go crazy over on this desk, and they played each other over the weekend twice. Both of those 2 teams. Sydney, I blew a gasket.
Yeah.
Okay? I couldn't even talk how mad I was at the game when I was commentating with Gaze. But, them just giving up games. They're, consistent meltdowns in games that they actually should be winning. And the Brisbane Bullets, they've beaten 3 of the 4 top 4 teams, and yet they come out and just get spanked the way they did. I don't know what to say about them. I really, really don't.
All right, I'll give you one more week to see what they do in the next 7 days, and then we'll go from there. Hey, we're about to see South East Melbourne Phoenix in around 15 minutes' time. They take on Cairns down in Gippsland in regional Victoria. Of course, Tasmania hadn't played for the better part of 3 weeks. But South East Melbourne went to Tasmania and did exactly what they needed to do, Liam.
Eventually, took a while to get going. First half, trailing by 3 points at half time, couldn't really get themselves going. And that's what Tassie do, especially at home sometimes. They kind of drag you down. They drag you down into the mud. And they had some moments in the first half like that, South East Melbourne, but they weren't really able to get humming until in this third quarter when Joe Chi started to put his authority onto the game. 16 second half points, started to block some shots, clean the defensive glass, and the South East Melbourne Phoenix put the hurt on Tassie, got up the floor, created some things. Mitch Creek is just quietly going about an MVP caliber season. This is what I said from the start of the year. Remember we picked our MVPs and I said, look, the Phoenix going to be really good. They're going to win a lot of games, and at the end of the year, you're going to go, geez, Mitch Creek was there every single night for this team, and that's what he's going about doing. And it was a fun battle in the middle. Will Magnay, Joe Chi, just the way they worked each other out over the course of the game. But nothing to write. The Phoenix haven't had a win this season to get excited about. They beat New Zealand twice. They beat Melbourne without Chris Goulding, and they just beat Tasmania. I'm waiting for them to play a Perth or an Illawarra or a fully stacked Melbourne United team to see what this team's really made of.
All right, well, where have you got them in the power rankings?
Still up in the top 4.
Unveil. Away you go. Power rankings. All correspondence towards at Liam Santa.
Only one change. Just messed around things a little bit with Sydney and Adelaide. Melbourne's still on top. Perth Wildcats still doing what they do despite being on the road. And the Kings, like Corey said, Xavier Cook's playing at this kind of level. If he was in that game first time around, they would have gone 2 and zip this weekend. And Adelaide, man, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. That's not a team that's going to make the finals. Only one change of power rankings this week.
All right, let's get into the best big man in the league. You started it last week on my side. You were huge on it with JLA saying he's the best big man in the game. We've seen two in the highlights there go at it with South East Melbourne and Tasmania. Who is the best big man in the league? If right now the All-NBL first team centre is who?
It's JLA, easily. The team is in first. He's having a big impact on that team and why they're in that position. Last round, he destroyed Yanni Wetsu when Yanni was as hot as he's been, right? Duop Reith, he went there, gave him the business. Last round, he averaged 16.5, 12.5, and 3.5 blocks. Play it around. Jarrell Martin, too little. He can't do anything with this guy right here, JLA. JLA, a.k.a. the Grim Reaper. He is not playing around. He don't smile. Everybody's a baby. He's giving them the business, right? Last game against Adelaide, 18, 8, and 3 blocks. He didn't even have to really do a lot. That was easy work for him. Sat down early. Chris Goulin handled the business from the perimeter. His biggest matchup, right, that he did not win was against Joe Chi, right? Now, Joe Chi, he's been too inconsistent for me.
Business, Corey.
He was been too. What has he done since then?
He gave him 22, 10, and 7
What
blocks.
has he done since then? Thank you very much. You ain't gonna finish. You ain't the best center finishing the game with 5 points against anybody, right? And you just said they didn't play against anybody worthy yet. So if he didn't play against anybody worthy yet outside of that matchup, what's he doing with 5?
I know, but
it's not dominant. There ain't no but.
No,
There
hold
ain't
on.
no but.
Wait, a few years ago.
Show your game consistently. And I tell you this, I can't wait to see
You getting excited about what he did against Adelaide with no Isaac Humphries?
What did he do against your man Pretzel last week?
I'm trying to tell you a couple
What
of
did he do
seasons
against
ago
your man
when we had this
Wetzel
conversation
Pretzel, who was on fire
about Andrew Bogut and
last week?
Sean Long. You said, I
Sean
don't
Long, the
care.
best center in the league.
You said, I don't care what you do against this team or that team. Let's see what you do against each other.
And
Every time JLA went up, Joe Chi sent it back.
Okay, since then, what did Joe Chi do? What has he done? Nothing.
Well, he was Foot Locker player of the game the other night.
You just said he didn't play against nobody.
Will Magnay.
You just said. Will Magnay had 10 points. You know, offensively, he ain't going to come with nothing. My point is, I can't wait till we see those two match up again. But right now, the Grim Reaper, easy.
I tell you what.
Just before I let you go.
Yeah.
Let him go. Let him go.
No. Is the Grim Reaper, is this the first time you've given that nickname?
Nah,
Or have I missed it because I've been under the weather?
It's the Grim Reaper.
It's the Grim Reaper.
Oh, really?
Never given that nickname before.
No.
Never.
Let me tell you.
I just want to make sure I hadn't missed it.
No.
Yeah.
I've said this like on my socials, but not in the
You've
show.
unveiled it here. I like
The
it.
Grim Reaper.
Now fire away, Liam.
Go ahead, Leo.
Joe Lyle-Chill's not All-NBL first team right now.
What?
Who is?
Are you kidding me?
Not in any
Yo,
way, shape, or form.
you bugging.
Let me
Liam,
tell
you bugging.
Let me tell you how this works.
Tell me.
In the All-NBL first team, you select 3 outside, 2 inside.
Right.
Now, if you start at power forward every single game, you're classified as an inside guy. Vic Law, Mitch Creek, All-NBL first team. Joe Lawala-Chul, All-NBL second team, keep plugging away.
Because of the technicality of the actual
I'm not gonna-
qualification.
I'm just letting you know, that's how it
Big
is.
Law's a 4, huh? Big Law's a 4 in this?
Now, is he the best centre in the league? Let's have that conversation. So many of these guys,
First team All-NBL.
please.
First team
Vic
All-NBL.
Law and Mitch Creek, you're bugging.
Those were both my guys.
Not
Not
really.
a lot of guys.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yo, you right with the 2 inside because of the technicality how you do it. 3 outside, 2 inside. Best center in the league is I'm not Duop.
Best centre of the league
JLA.
is Joe Chi.
I have a lot of guys.
Outside, 2 inside.
I'm underlining that quote.
It's not the... They got to change that, man.
All right.
They got to change that.
Can we just have a quick look at Will Magnay, some of the highlights as well? Because he's a guy,
They gotta
of course,
change
that
that.
2 years ago,
Inside, man.
you dubbed him two-way Magnay. He got his opportunity. He had that ankle issue. He came back to Perth last year and couldn't rediscover his best form for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, very hard late in the year to be able to fit in. But he looks a little slimmer this year too, a little bit slimmer than he was. He bulked up a bit. And we're seeing more of the Will Magnay homicide that we did see a couple of years ago.
Look, great to see him playing like this. I need more. Period. I've seen one game like this.
Yep.
I need more. This is the Will Magnay. We know he can do it. I need more. I need more points and I need more rebounds. That's all I got. I need consistency. More of this.
You know what? I think you're right. This was very fun to watch this happen, though, because a Will Magnay that's blocking shots like that, I'm here for it. I want to see that game in, game out. And last time you sat here and said that about a guy, it was Lamar Patterson after he had 27 in Perth. And we shouted you down. He hasn't been that guy at that level since. We said Lamar Patterson's back. You said show it to me, game in, game out. And in hindsight's 2020, you were bang on when you said it. Let's see this more and more from Will Magnay moving forward.
I just, Harry Froling had a hell of a game. And what I do like about Harry is that he'll go on record and say, look, I haven't been the guy I'm supposed to be. He's holding himself accountable, and I respect that. I need to see Magnay consistently, man. That's going to be the difference in these tough wins against this team. Like this team getting wins. He got to play like that. He need 18 points, 12 rebounds. Those are kind of numbers. Coach, don't take me out this game. Keep me in this game. Let me get more touches. Play through me. He needs to be more aggressive and assertive, exactly like how I just sounded, and with his play.
He hasn't always been that guy.
He need to learn to be that guy.
Team because, and I'm not sure you can judge with wins or losses with this team because of the way they are actually going. But I like the fact that he looks a lot more like the Will Magnay we've seen 2 years ago, body-wise and athletic-wise, than we've seen last year at Perth. And the ankle injury, no doubt, that he try and put a bit of weight on with the NBA and the rigours of that. I understand all of that. But he looks a lot more athletic now than what he did 12 months ago when he had to fit into that Perth team that obviously went to the grand final.
And for those who have been listening, Scott Roth's been saying, Will Magnay is a few weeks away. Yeah. We got excited about what we saw in the pre-season. Maybe he had a little bit of a setback or whatever, but he said, look, he's a few weeks away. Then he's been counting down the weeks, and then he told Anthony Stewart reported at the start of that game, Scott Roth tells me Will Magnay's 100% ready to go tonight. Has his best game of the season, blocks 5 shots.
He's only got a 1-year deal, right? Mm-hmm. Because that'll be interesting come the end of the year.
Let's see if we see more of this.
Oh, no, I agreed. But I'm also like, if we see more of this, then his value and his leverage has obviously gone up a little bit, and clearly he's made no bones about trying to get back to the NBA at some point. All right, a couple of young guns.
Big.
Hukporti and Sotto. And we had, when you see these young kids and internationals come in and we see them as, development players. They're very raw and there's ups and downs, but we're both able to see them play really well on the weekend. And Hukporti is actually bringing a lot of intensity and energy to a team that right now is the hottest in the league.
To see this young fella come from Germany, he's playing like a grown man. Yep. You know what? And he has a great teacher in JLA. It's like, can you imagine him going at it in practice? Because every time he touches the ball, he want to score. He's looking to do something with it.
Both those guys.
Facts. And I just love his aggression. He has a nice touch. He's super aggressive. He runs the floor. He plays defense. He rebounds. What's there not to love about this young man?
Agreed.
And Sotto on the other end.
Bang.
Look how aggressive he went up there to finish that. Going to east, y'all.
And he loves his work. And he loves his work, which he should.
Love the passion and love seeing K. Sotto. Gets blocked, gets the ball back, goes up hard and strong. Good, tough finish, and that's what you're supposed. This is such a young, talented kid. It's just literally about his body getting right, getting accustomed to playing against big, strong, experienced players in this tough league. So great showing early by the young guy, and they're going to continue to get better. It's good to see him on the floor getting minutes, though.
6 and 9 in this game, and you're right, just going up strong. Here he was like, you know what? What am I doing here? Get up and throw it down with 2 hands. And then 12 and 5 in this game against Illawarra. Good strong finish there over Harry. Hey, it's Kai Sotto time.
Yeah.
In Adelaide right now. Isaac Humphries is struggling. He's not out on the floor. And Sotto, okay, so now's your chance to get out there into the rotation. Kids taking advantage. They just need to, can't go back from here with Kai Sotto. He's there in that organisation for a reason, to try to develop that potential that he has. And you got to reward the kid for taking advantage of these opportunities. Still room to grow, no doubt about it. Let's continue to see those minutes for the young fella.
Only one group of people like it more than CJ Bruton and the coaching staff when he does stuff like that. That's the NBL social media team, because Twitter goes into meltdown when the great man shows us some highlights. All right, Santa's watching. All thanks to Amy. Liam, Santa, Maria, always looking for some elves. At Liam Santa, if you found something that you had a chuckle with. Take it away, Liam.
Yeah, well, thanks to Amy. Dave Barlow, 350. They're getting around him and he's like, hey, did you just watch the hair?
Fair enough.
Jack was like, don't film him while his hair's not good. And then they're like, all right, they get him. But actually, he really wanted to.
Well, he had photos, he had a presser to do. He's got to look too good.
Speaking of hair, Chase, like, am I on screen? Yep, fix the hair. I'm good. No love for Toy. He's just like, The upside down 5 just wasn't happening for Tory. And was this a wink to Joe Healy? A little wink.
Yeah, there it is.
Just a little wink, just like, you know what I can do.
Hey, you hit 8 threes, you shoot your shot.
And just before we finish up,
yes.
Usually sound is watching is no sound. We take care of it.
Ooh.
We'll sound on tape for this little baby.
There we go.
Ain't losing games in meltdowns like the Sydney Kings do. That's the difference. Sydney Kings, I don't even know what to say. All you do is blood my balls is just my Look, you hear me? Do you hear? I can't even talk when it comes to the Sydney Kings. Games, meltdown. Every game is a meltdown.
This is one, man. This is one right now.
They've had...
Hey, good news is...
You hurt my blood boiling.
my God.
I couldn't even speak.
You can get more of that in around 5 minutes' time. All right, all thanks to JD Sports. Thank you, Lee, Santa Maria. That's all thanks to Amy. All thanks to JD Sports, the undisputed king of trainers. They are keeping things old school this week. We'll get to that in a moment. But that's a nice kick.
Okay, Sotto. Bringing the colour.
Creative as well, playing really well. Creative, getting out there.
All
I
right.
like it. Now look at this.
Ooh, okay.
This is the old school I speak about. The launch of the New Balance 550 vintage hoop energy on these ones. They're amazing. They're highly coveted pair. Look at that. I'm probably going to have to get a pair, to be fair. They'll launch this Thursday at all selected JD stores and online via the JD AU app. Make sure you download the app today. I've been telling you for a year. If you haven't done it, what the bloody hell are you doing? Download it now and cop the New Balances. We go old school with the 550.
And while you're downloading that app, don't forget about what they teased last week. Coming out in February, you got to have the app to make it happen.
Yes or no style. You did a great job last week.
Appreciate it.
Outstanding job. Big shout out to the Darwin Salties. I see you stole my question. If you get a Darwin Salties t-shirt and I go
Hey,
gold,
hook up my
I'll be
man.
filthy.
Hook up my man.
Goorj, is the 4 set.
No.
Is Dusty Hannah's in trouble? As in employment in trouble with the Adelaide 36ers.
Should be.
Excuse me?
Oh, I don't know.
Change the name of the
I
single
actually
while I'm
don't know the answer. Yes.
It should be a no.
I don't know the answer, yes or no, so
Okay.
I'm going to give an opinion.
Okay, does Illawarra lack composure down the stretch?
Yes, they do.
Does Luke Travers play enough?
Yes.
Should the Jack Jumpers be really disappointed in the import trio?
Nope.
Are the refs a little trigger happy on the tech fouls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the Jack Jumpers imports?
Yeah, feel free, fire away.
Josh Adams, 2 of 14. McCall McIntosh giving you absolutely nothing. That's okay.
Is Dusty Hannah's, should he be in trouble?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you think there would be a change to the Jack Jumpers? Because Scott Roth,
There should be.
Scott Roth called out McIntosh and said we want more and gave him the opportunity.
Yeah.
Gave him the opportunity.
And he gave a little bit.
A little more, yeah.
He went about it in the right way. Mm-hmm. But is it there? Is the ceiling there to give what they need? That Tasmania Jack Jumpers roster needs the imports to be elite, like the Taipans trio was a few seasons ago. Hasn't been there.
All right, now, some huge news. Blink, and then we're going to do the game. We're going to do the game. And just on the Taipans, we're going to see the Taipans and Phoenix go at it. Down in Gippsland in regional Victoria, which will be fun for all the locals to get down and see NBL up close and personal. But this Taipans team, who we haven't been able to see for a long time, again, injury smacked them right around the chops tonight. No, Machado still quite annoyed, but you are still confident we're going to see a ripping contest.
That coach will have him ready to play.
He will.
He always does have him up and ready to play. And there's just more minutes on the court for the core that they have. So sometimes less is more, and other guys just going to have to step up. We're going to see a good game tonight.
Yeah, oh, I can't wait. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved over the course of the week. Power rankings are up, nbl.com.au. Now, how are you doing studs and dat? Like, there's all these games going on. When are you dropping this type of stuff?
I don't know.
You don't know?
When there's any time to write these up and get these done. But there's no gap between the rounds.
No.
So last game of the round on Wednesday, we'll roll it out Thursday morning.
Now, I just want to quickly, I didn't want to make mention of it, but I will. I did see Matt Logue, who does a great article. Yeah. I do notice the NBL are meeting about tweaking the finals. He reported on it. They're going to expand, and everyone thinks it's a great idea. You know what I like to call that? Overtime 2019. Bring the wild card game in, Homicide.
You've been saying this, man. Man, you've been saying this forever, man.
4v5, let's get this done.
Have we got time to talk about this real quick?
You got 20 seconds.
Leave the finals as they are.
No.
Maybe a wildcard game.
That's all I want.
No top 6.
I don't want top 6.
Make
I
it
want
hard
wildcard.
to make the finals.
Yeah. 4v5 wildcard. 4th gets a home game. Go in, play the top team. Away you go. Blink. We'll see you on the other side of this.